Welcome to Fractions Part 9. This is more fractions practice, and you need a pencil and paper or pen and paper, so it would be great if you worked through these as I went along. If you get stuck on any questions, this comes from video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4 and video 5. So look at those videos if you get stuck on any of that. Let's go with question 1. What fraction of A is green? There's shape A. What fraction is green? 1, 2, 3 bits out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3/8 is green. Question 2. What fraction of B is purple? This is not exactly a shape, it's a lot of shapes, isn't it? But what fraction of B is purple they want? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the purple parts, 4. And then we need the total number of parts on the bottom. So don't forget the 4 we've already got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4/8 is purple. Some people might know that 4/8 is the same as 1/2. It's the same size as 1/2 because half of them are purple. Time for question 3. Question 3 is adding fractions. I'm sure now you're getting pretty good on these, which is a good skill to have. Adding fractions as easy as this is in the Year 6 SATs, because a lot of the Year 6 SATs is hard, but some of it's actually easy. The first few questions are easy, and you do just have to add some fractions which have the same denominators in it. So if you can do this, you can at least do one of the Year 6 SATs questions. So 5/10 plus 4/10 is 9/10. Just like 5 pencils plus 4 pencils would be 9 pencils. Or 5 rubbers plus 4 rubbers would be 9 rubbers. So 5/10 plus 4/10 is 9/10. And we're done. And we're on question 4. Question 4 is a minus. 11/20. Take away this time. Take away 5/20. 11/20 take away 5/20. So we're dealing with 20ths. 20ths will be going as a denominator here. 11 take away 5. If you know that, you can do this. You probably know already, don't you? It's 6/20. 11/20 take away 5/20 is 6/20. Time for question 5. Fractions of a quantity. Hopefully by now you know that quantity means a number. So we need to do 1/8 of 40. Let's write the question number, 5. 1/8 of 40. How do you find 1/8 of 40? You divide it by 8. You get your 40 and you divide it by 8. And a great way of doing that is singing your 8s up to 40. Because 40 divided by 8 is the same as how many 8s fit into 40. How many somethings in a something is division. Okay? So I'm going to sing my 8s up to 40 and look at my fingers to see how many it was. Look for an 8 and 16, 24 and 32, 40. 5. My fingers said 5, they were right, because 1/8 of 40 equals 5. Question 6 is connected, because it's not 1/8 of 40, it's 5/8 of 40. This is officially a Year 4 level question, really, but many Year 3s, I think, will be able to do this as well. 5/8 of 40 is going to be bigger than 1/8 of 40. 1/8 of 40 was up here, wasn't it? And it was just 5. But now we're going to do 5/8 of 40. So it's going to be bigger. What you do is 40 divided by 8. 8 and 16, 24 and 32, 40. That is 5. We knew that in question 5. We did 40 divided by 8. That is 5. But then you get that 5 and times it by the top. 5 times 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And the answer is 25. Because 5/8 of 40 is 25. 5/8 is bigger than a half. A half is the same as 4/8. That's why 25 is more than half of 40, because half would be 20. You might not understand all of that, but that's just a little check that I do to prove that 5/8 of 40 is 25. Let's go on to question 7. We're adding some fractions. These are not fractions, actually, are they? They're mixed numbers. That's called a mixed number because you have a whole number and a fraction. This is also a mixed number, whole number with a fraction in it. So 4.5 plus 1.5. 4.5 plus 1.5. These are the biggest parts of this question, aren't they? 4 and 1. They're the big whole numbers. These blue parts are just the bits. They might look bigger, but they're not. They're just little fractions. Fractions, remember, are little parts. Like decimals are just parts of a number. So if we add the big numbers, the purple bits, 4 plus 1, that's 5. If we add the blue bits, a half plus a half plus a half makes a whole one. Half a circle plus another half a circle makes a whole circle. Half and a half is 1. So it's actually 5, but plus another whole one takes us up to 6. So our answer is 6. 4.5 plus 1.5 is 6. And we're on question 8. Question 8 is actually a whole number, 8. Take away a mixed number, 3.5. That's new because it's a whole number, take away a mixed number. 8 take away 3.5. I wonder what the best way to do this one is. I might draw this one, I think. I'm going to draw 8 circles. 1. I hope I fit them all in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 down here. So I've drawn 8 circles there. I'm going to take away 3.5 of them. Take away 3, that'll be easy. 1, 2, 3. They're gone. We've got 5 left, but we've still got to take away a half. So I've actually got to take away half of one of these circles. I'm going to try and rub out half of one of them, leaving just a half behind. Just a half left. So what have I got now? I took away 3.5. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 whole ones and a half. So it's 4.5. 8 take away 3.5 is 4.5. And we're on question 9. What's question 9? This is what we call equivalent fractions. So that means, you know, equivalent sounds like equals a little bit. Equivalent equals. Because it's talking about fractions that are worth the same, even though they might look different. So we have a mystery, don't we? We have a mystery here. We don't know what goes here. Don't know what's happening up the top because the top's got a mystery in it. So I look at what's happening to the bottoms, the denominators. What happens to 5 to get to 10? It's usually times, if not divide. What happens to 5 to get to 10? Well, 5, 10. If you do 5 times 2, you get 10. 5 times 2 is 10. So let's be fair to the top bunk. If this was like bunk beds, the child on the bottom bunk and the child on the top bunk, they'd both want things to be fair. They'd want the same thing to happen to them. So 4 times 2 is 8. You know what siblings are like, brothers and sisters. They always want everything to be fair. If one child gets something, the other child will want it. You probably feel like that most of the time. So if the bottom bunk child gets multiplied by 2, the top bunk child gets multiplied by 2 as well. So make sure you do the same to the bottom as you do to the top. 4/5 is the same size as 8/10. Looks different, but it's worth the same. Equals means is the same as, is worth the same as. 4/5 of a pizza is the same size as 8/10 of a pizza. You just chop the pizza into different numbers of bits. And we're on question 10. 1/4 equals 4 somethings. 1/4 equals 4 over we don't know what, mystery. So I don't know what's happening to the bottom, so I'll look at the tops. What happens to 1 to get to 4? If you times 1 by what, you get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 times 4 is 4, isn't it? 1 times 4 makes 4. So we times the top by 4. Let's just be fair and do the same to the bottom. Times that by 4. Do you know 4 times 4? If you do, it's 16. 4, 8, 12, 16. So we multiply the top and the bottom by 4. You don't have to draw the arrows if you don't want. If you know what you're doing, you don't need to draw those. But what we do know is that 1/4 is worth the same as 4/16. So we can call them equivalent fractions. And our answer, what goes where the question mark is 16 for 16th, isn't it? That's what goes where the question mark is. And we're on to the last two, the hardest ones usually, the word problems. You've got to figure out what part of your fractions knowledge you're using. How many pence is 3/4? I'm going to write 3/4. It was written in words, I've written it in digits. How many pence is 3/4 of 12p? Oh, it's a fractions of a quantity. 3/4 of 12. Okay, we can do this. How I do fractions of quantity is get the quantity, divide it by the bottom. So 12 divided by 4. Sing my 4s till I get to 12. 4, 8, 12. That is 3. I keep that little 3 in my head. Just keeping 3 in my head because I have to keep that 3 in my head and times it by the top, which is also 3. 3 times 3. That's the answer. 3 times 3. 3, 6, 9. It's 9. 3/4 of 12p equals 9p. I write p on the end because the answer's in p. 9 pence. 9p. 3/4 of 12p is 9p. Because 3/4 is not the whole thing. It's 3 parts out of 4. It's worth 9p out of 12p. And the final question, question 12. How many whole ones is 10/5 worth? How many whole ones is 10/5 worth? Well, how many fifths makes up one whole one? If something's in fifths, how many fifths do you need to have a whole one? It's 5. 5/5 equals 1 whole. I'll draw that. This is not the answer yet, but 5/5 is a whole. If I draw fifths here, they're supposed to all be the same size. It's a very rubbish picture, but you get the idea. 5/5 makes a whole circle. So if you want the whole circle, you have to have all 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 5 makes 1 whole. Our question says, how many whole ones is 10/5 worth? So we haven't got 5/5 anymore, we've got 10/5. How many whole ones will 10/5 be worth if 5/5 is 1 whole one? I'm going to get rid of that for a sec. No, this isn't going to work. I'd love to be able to just copy this picture. Let's see if I can get away with just copying this picture. Might go wrong. No, it worked. It worked. Okay. What I've done here is I've copied the picture to make 10/5. You see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10/5 altogether, like here, 10/5 is worth the same as how many whole circles? How many whole circles are there? 2. 10/5 is 2. How many whole ones is 10/5 worth? The answer is 2. 2 whole ones, or just 2. So we're done. Let's put the answers on. Check your answers. Pause here to check them. As I always say, I've started to say every day, if you're stuck on these two, look at video 1. Stuck on these two, look at video 2. Video 3, video 4, video 5 of this playlist on YouTube. So this is fractions video 9, but if you're stuck on question 5 and 6, go to fractions video 3. Video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, video 5. Don't avoid the things you're not so good at. They're the things you should focus on. Focus on the things you're not so good at, and in the end you'll be good at everything. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next time.